As the de facto National Library of the United States, the home of the Copyright Office and the recipient of many donations of sound, recorded sound, and film, and television and video, we have a unique opportunity now that we can bring it all together in one place. The audiovisual creativity of the American people really transformed the audiovisual perception of the world in the 20th century. It's a huge American accomplishment.
A state which will live, my countrymen, in infamy. No one can contemplate current conditions.
Founded in 1800, the Library of Congress is the nation's oldest federal cultural institution and the largest library in the world. It seeks to spark imagination and creativity and to further human understanding and wisdom by providing access to knowledge through its magnificent collections, programs, and exhibitions. The mission of the Library of Congress? To make its resources available and useful to the Congress and to the American people, and to sustain and preserve its collections for generations to come. Until this moment in history, the ongoing abilities and capabilities to preserve and to conserve the nation's audiovisual record have been limited. The gift of the Packard campus, designed to grow and change with contemporary and future technology challenges, changes all of that.
For the creative well-being of a country, of a society, you have to have a collective memory. You have to have a foundation or a rich, fertile ground for creativity to sprout. And art doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens because there's this rich background, rich history, rich traditions, and someone with genius does something new from that.
When you look at recorded sound, television, and motion pictures, you're really seeing a great part of the history of America that can get captured in those. And they're also a media that people are attracted to. So it's a great way to tell the story of America, and with 6 million items, an amazing spread of creativity.
We have 1.2 million moving image items, and that includes about 700,000 videotape, 500,000 reels of film. We get in about 30,000 items through copyright every year, but we also take in some very large film and video collections through gift and purchase every year as well.
In the early days of moving pictures, producers filed paper prints of their projects with the Copyright Office of the Library of Congress.
So they would send them to the Library of Congress to prevent piracy. And we have thousands of films that only survive on paper. Unfortunately, the films are lost.
Innovative custom technologies unique to the Packard campus give conservators new tools to recover treasures from the past.
We're now transferring the films. We're rephotographing them off of the paper back onto film so we can restore the titles.
One of the key functions of the Packard campus is to preserve the film record of productions from the 19th century up till about 1951. And that particular type of film was known as nitrate film because of the composition of the materials from which it was produced. And so it had the inherent capability of being flammable, intensely flammable. So we have a special set of cold vaults for a collection of nitrate film that amounts to about 140 to 50 million feet of nitrate film.
This is one of our nitrate acclimatization vaults. And in here, we have actually two collections that we just received in the past week or so of nitrate prints. These all came out of a barn in Tennessee where they were very lovingly looked after by their owner, who has turned them over to the library. Now, on the other hand, not all films survive as well. As you can see with this reel, which is probably from the 1920s, the brown powder that's appearing is actually the film breaking down. There may be still some photography in there that we could save, but a good portion of it is going to have to be cut out because it's just deteriorated beyond use.
The Packard campus is also home to specialized audio preservation laboratories. Here, our audio department restores, preserves, and conserves every known format of recorded sound. The collections range from the wax cylinders used in the late 19th and early 20th centuries to today's CDs, MP3s, and every other digital technology.
Now we can preserve this for the next generation. One of our goals here at the Library of Congress is to be able to do this same thing using digital technology for the next 50, 100, 200 years. That's an incredible challenge because the digital world is very different from the analog world. But that's essentially where we want to go, so that the people 50 years from now can hear exactly what we're hearing in this great sounding room now.
The Library of Congress is home to both the National Recording Preservation Board and the National Film Preservation Board to ensure the increased public access to America's sound recording and film heritage.
Be fools, and where's he gone to? The road gets rougher, it's lonelier and tougher.
More than 65% of television programs produced in America since the 1940s are not available in archives and may be lost forever.
There's a lot of forgotten humor. That's just one form of creativity in which we have a particularly rich collection. And with the Bob Hope's jukebox full of 80,000 pages of jokes, we have a wonderful clip of Johnny Carson interviewing Groucho Marx after he got a letter inviting him to contribute to the Library of Congress. It's hilarious.
Dear Mr. Marx, and so forth and so on and so on and so on and so on. He's the librarian of Congress. May I ask if you've made suitable provision for preserving your personal papers? If not, I invite you to consider the claims of the Library of Congress as an appropriate repository. In the library's manuscript division may be found many of the nation's manuscript treasures, including the personal papers of most of the presidents. This is all legitimate. The correspondence of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson,
well, you don't have
James
to read the whole thing.
Madison,
That's the idea.
James Madison,
that's rather impressive,
Ulysses
though,
F.
isn't
Grant,
it?
Abraham Lincoln.
You're going to mumble all through this thing?
I think that is,
well, it's an extraordinary. I was so astonished when I...
That is it.
I think that people will find sources of renewal. Anything that's a renaissance is a rebirth of something that was there before. All of this is part of an ongoing pageant of creativity, of which humor is a great part. I think people are going to have a lot of fun with this, and we hope that the enthusiasm keeps going. Serious study, serious preservation doesn't mean that people can't have fun with it, and that in having fun, you don't get new ideas. That's part of creativity, after all.
If we lose our past, you really can never recapture that. And we have lost things through the years, and there have been some major losses. And if you have the ability to keep it, do keep it, because it will be instructive and useful for generations, centuries from now.
We're positioned to begin ingesting and preserving and reformatting the materials that will be invented in the future that we know nothing about. So we look backward and we look forward, and that's unique. There's no institution quite like the Packard campus, and I must say the Library of Congress anywhere in the world.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.